What is going on, Ravens flock, and welcome back here again to another episode of the Ravens Way podcast. Joining me, as always, on this wonderful Saturday morning is Voss. Voss, how are we doing? How are we feeling after the nice, long, extended break of no Ravens football and after all the Thanksgiving holiday festivities?
Feeling great. Feeling great. Really fun time of year. Rivalry Saturday in college. We got a primetime game on tap for the Ravens tomorrow night. And, I thought it was a good time for the break, for let the, recharge a little bit. It's been a long season for the Ravens so far. Didn't take a bye week after the London trip. So a little mini bye, and then hopefully notch a W tomorrow. And then you got your full bye, and then you can hopefully be full strength, ready to rock out December.
Yeah, definitely. And they also have somewhat of an easy game coming off the bye as well, which is always nice. But that is getting a little far ahead. But it was good times at Thanksgiving, just enjoying some time with the family, and I feel nice and recharged, refreshed a little bit. And like you said, we played 3 games in 11 days. So really, really running that content machine, and then to have this nice little break, and then go play a Chargers team that we'll preview. It feels good. Feels very good. Feels very, very. The vibes are good right now, boss.
Yeah, vibes are good. Obviously, a little bit of a bittersweet win with losing one of their top dogs, potentially for the season. Maybe not. We'll see. Let's take a quick look back at that Cincinnati game. They pull off the season sweep, knock Burrow out for the season. Give us some takeaways. I guess one side of the ball will go back and forth.
Yeah, so offensively for the Ravens, I think it was tough because once Burrow went out, the energy and the need to be so much pressure on the offense to score a lot of points kind of went away. But they still did score points. But takeaways is one, Odell Beckham looks very, very good. I don't think he's ever going to get back to that 2016 form, but he does look like a veteran pro wide receiver. He's out there. He's making spin moves. He's making. He's still efficient at the top of his route, and he can still cut. He can still. It's not like his knee is so bad to the point where he can't do those cuts anymore. He still can. Obviously, Mark Andrews goes down, and that has to be talked about because that is a significant loss. But on that same retrospect, we've been talking about that the Ravens offense, in order for it to get better, the wide receivers needed to get more involved, specifically Rashad Bateman, and maybe a little bit of that kind of effect that one goes down and that target share gets spread around a little bit more, and it gets better. So we'll see what happens with that, but.
Absolutely, great game for Odell. Caught 4 or 7 balls. All 4 of his catches went for explosive gains. Doesn't get much better than that. I definitely thought this was one of Lamar's better games as far as, allowing the receivers to pick up yak. And maybe what you lose with Mark Andrews from a security blanket perspective and a red zone perspective, maybe you can compensate a little bit with getting some more explosive plays and more yards after the catch, so Lamar doesn't have to be, Superman all the time. On that topic of, first, did you think Logan Wilson was headhunting out there? I mean, knocked out Beckham, snapped Mark's leg and got Lamar even nicked up at some point there. To me, it kind of seemed like a little bit of a revenge for since he was kind of ticked off that Roquan was hitting him a little bit hard week 17 last year heading into the playoffs when they had those 2 back-to-backs. It seemed like Wilson kind of wanted to take his revenge.
I mean, to me, it's just football. I don't like the headhunting. I don't know if he was trying to injure people on purpose. I feel like that'd be too. I mean, he was definitely hitting hard. You could see it on the tape. Like he definitely was really trying his best to go out there and hit some people. But with how watered down the sport already is, it's It's football. It happens. I don't think he was. I don't think he was actually trying to hurt people on purpose, but I do think that he was trying to hit people, which is football. So
Yeah, setting a tone, setting a tone. All right, replacing Mark. We might as well, I guess, tap into that now since we're on the topic before we flip it over to defense. How do you see the offense changing? Where do you see his targets going? Because obviously he was a focal point, second most targeted receiver, worth mentioning. Flowers was already ahead of him before the injury, but top three tight end in the league. It's going to be a loss.
yeah, so far throughout the season, he has 63 targets from what I remember. Garnett posting that little pie chart of the target share. So I guess if you want to cut it in thirds, but that's not. I would like cut it in fourths and be like probably 25% goes to Bateman, 25% goes to Likely, and then you could like cut up that last 50% to just everybody else, like Beckham, Aguilar, Flowers, because Flowers already is high up there in targets. So, it's going to be tough, but I do think they can kind of replace him by group, by collective, and
Committee.
Yeah, by committee. There you go. And just we've been talking. I have, me personally, I've been talking about a certain tight end a lot, and now now is his time to go out there and there's an opportunity for targets, there's an opportunity for snaps, and you just got to go out there and make it happen. So
yeah, I think I personally would like to see Bateman receive a high percentage of the targets that we're going to mark. He's a really important player to develop the rest of the season, see what you have looking forward. I do that other podcast with Ken called Friday Morning GM on his film study feed, and we're looking forward to needs on the offense for next offseason this week. And wide receiver is right up there with offensive tackle. You're losing a lot potentially. And I also agree with you. I think Kolar really does have a chance if he's going to be able to suit up here. It looks like he had some type of injury in practice this week. But some people got so excited about Likely last year because he was kind of a tweener and they figured maybe he can help out, solve some of the issues at receiver. That didn't happen, obviously. He's just an in-betweener kind of. He's built like an H-back. I just don't see him taking on that, third and long tight ends or red zone role. I think Kolar really does have a chance to get a large snap share and target share if he steps up these next couple weeks.
Yeah, and he's also, he is 6'7". Kolar is 6'6", but he looked like he grew an inch basically because he was standing next to Falele, and he was.
I took that picture, the Preakness one, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's tough because I think he is like kind of like the best of both worlds between like Likely and Ricard. Like he can, I think he's improved himself as a blocker. He has gotten a lot better at engaging at the focal point, and we'll see. That illness, Jeff said it was an illness, so we'll see what happens with that. But I feel like unless you're throwing up and dying, you got to go out there and play.
Yeah, just to put a pin in this conversation about Mark, isn't it great that they actually have a well-rounded, deep receiving core for once? If this would have happened in any other season, it probably would have really tanked the passing offense. But hey, imagine that. Depth at receiver comes in handy. So let's flip it over to the defense. Thought we saw some pretty good things on defense against Cincy. Odafe Owe, 4 out of 5 games since his return, notching a sack, 5 sacks in total. Why don't we start there with the pass rush, because it was an impressive showing.
Yeah. To your point, Odafe Owe, he's made that leap. In my opinion, he's made that leap. He's starting to really put himself into like the A tier of pass rushers, not the S tier. But he really is starting to find the low A tier, and he's beating double teams and he's getting double teamed, which usually your best edge rusher gets double teamed. And if you ever want to find out who's the best player, who's the best defensive edge rusher on another team, just watch how the offensive coordinator tries to attack them. And He's just playing really good. He's playing good football, and the pass rush as a whole is keeping themselves afloat. Clowney had a sack in this game as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he
Matabuke,
did.
he had one as well.
He did eight games in a row for Matabike.
Yeah, so it's all
Landola's
everyone.
got one. Yep.
Yeah, everyone's playing well. It was funny. I was watching the Ravens Wired, and they wanted Travis Jones to get one really bad.
Right, I saw that. Yeah, even Tavius, who had one of the worst pass rushing grades out of any outside backer, got his first sack as a rookie. I thought we saw some good things in the in coverage. Certainly, Ronald Darby had a really strong game. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be, CB2 or CB3, well ahead of Rock, of the way Yassine has played the last couple weeks. Brandon Stevens pretty much locked down Chase, and he was shadowing him a little bit, which was interesting. The Ravens don't use that, shadow coverage too often. The one player I thought struggled again and has been a few weeks in a row now is Patrick Queen. You're starting to see a little bit of what I believe is a vulnerability of using nickel so extensively and not going to dime when the situation calls for it. And I personally think Queen should his snaps on obvious passing downs should be in jeopardy at this point. I'd like to maybe see a 3 safety, 3 cornerback dime alignment for some situations where you just have more speed and more coverage ability on the field.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's tough because he has played so well with Roquan Smith next to him, but you look on the film and you're like, ugh, he's just not, the coverage ability just isn't there. He's a
He's
lot
missing
more.
tackles still. Missing a
Yeah.
combination of not being in the right place.
He missed a
Yeah.
really easy open tackle. I was looking. It was like a little check down to Joe Mixon. You got to go up and make the tackle. And he had his hands all over him. He just couldn't. He couldn't wrap him up. So it's tough. It is tough. But he's got to. If he wants to make the money he wants to make, he's gonna have to step it back up here. But I would
think
say, good.
I think some folks in Ravens flock are still sticking with their priors that they liked the Queen pick 4 years ago, and they want them to see him re-signed, and they think the Ravens going anti-positional value is somehow advantageous. I really don't see it. I really don't see any reason to keep Queen, and I'd like to see his snaps reduced going down the stretch.
Definitely. And then I guess the last thought I'd have defensively is Marcus Williams. I think he's good. He's juiced. He's fine. I don't think there you go. I don't think the shoulder pecs. I think he's fine. I really do. Like, he's not. Yeah. He didn't really look like he was hesitating to me. Because I posted the clip of him coming up to make the tackle, and it was just a form wrap up tackle, and it didn't look like he was, holding a hand behind his back trying to make the tackle or anything like that. So, and then he had 2 pass breakups as well. So he looks good. Marcus Williams is back. Obviously, Geno Stone's snaps were reduced because Marcus Williams is back. And to your point about having more safeties out there, maybe the fix to having better coverage on the field is going back to the split safety a little bit more and a little less 2 linebacker. So
yeah, you got to continue evolving. McDonald's been a half a step ahead of offensive coordinators for the last season, I guess, starting halfway through last season to the first half of this season, but eventually they catch up, and you got to come up with version 3.0 and 4.0 and new software updates and whatever to stay that step ahead, because they don't necessarily have dominant personnel on defense. They have a very well-rounded defense, but they don't have, game records all over the place. So it's got to be a team effort, and I hope to see that continue. So, because when they're on their game, this is a defense that can pack up and go on the road in the postseason, I think, and really slow some people down. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's go to All 22 if you're ready. O'Leary's All 22 film review.
Yep.
And we will start from the beginning. Everything look okay on your end?
Yeah.
All right. So versus the Bengals. Our first play Yuri has selected here was The Zay Flowers should have been a touchdown. That was called back on a phantom hold, if I ever saw one called on Beckham.
Yeah. So I vaguely remember this play because I was at the game. So when I was going back through and watching it, I was confused. I'm like, why is there a flag? What is the flag on? And unfortunately, it does skip a little bit here, but I just don't think. I don't think that. I just didn't think it was a flag, and it was very confusing. But I just wanted to highlight was one is there's like two of the fastest players in the field right there with Flowers and Mitchell running up the sideline. I think that's always cool to see, like two fast guys just going down the field trying to block for each other. But Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews down. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but someone else that could maybe get a couple more bumps and targets, maybe get a couple of Mark Andrews slot snaps as well.
Yeah.
Which would put him in more advantageous positions to make plays like that in space. So I think that'll be a nice fix. And then, Zay Flowers, unfortunate that this got called back. He only has one touchdown on the season, if I'm not mistaken. So
Correct.
would like to see him hit pay dirt again. And for predictions later, I am feeling it this week.
Yeah. And he was matched up on DJ Turner quite a few reps that game, who's another speed demon, same rookie class as well.
Yeah.
So, it's good to see Flowers. Yeah, I mean, hard to ask for much more than he's given the Ravens through his rookie season. And here is a very fortuitous bounce of the ball that went the Ravens' way.
Yeah. So not a lot of analysis we can do here. It was just I thought this was a ridiculous play, like absolutely just mind-numbing of how fortunate the Ravens got here that this didn't bounce another way. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than be good. And I will say though, people forget that Nelson Aguilar is like a really good athlete, like a really good athlete. Like he was drafted in the first round, and
first round talent.
He probably ran a 4.4 and all that stuff. So, just you got it. Sometimes you just got to get lucky, and sometimes the ball doesn't lie. The ball does not lie.
Very true. What did you think of the pass pro in this game? While we're looking at some of these offensive plays,
I thought it was better. I thought they made some necessary adjustments with some of the 6 and 7 man protections, like I was talking about. They went when they did go 5-man protections. It wasn't at a poor time. And the offensive line also did a lot better job at sorting. They did a lot better job at sorting, and you're going to see here at the with this zero blitz, the offensive line sorted really, really well. And the running back, I can't see who it is, but came up and made a nice little fill-in for pass protection. So, as well,
looks like Justice. Yeah, it's Justice Hill.
Yeah. So you're gonna see here that it's a zero blitz, but there's no like immediate free rusher. Everything gets picked up. And then Odell Beckham, like I said earlier, still can make those cuts at the top of the route, work back to the quarterback, get quote unquote friendly, and then just make a nice little move out there in space. So it was good. It's good seeing Odell back out there. I would say probably 80% to what I think he can be. And yeah, it feels good.
Well, we'll see if he suits up. Apparently, he's a game time decision with that. He took that late hit from Wilson on his shoulder. So hopefully he can go, because obviously when he's right, he brings a lot to the offense. Yeah. Just on that topic though, back to the O-line, I thought McCary did a fine job. He's a battler. He's not going to win every rep, but Ronnie Stanley's not winning every rep at this point in his career either.
Right.
So now we're flipping it over to defense, and this is an Odafe Owe highlight.
Yeah, so what I was talking about earlier with the best edge rushers get double teamed. Once again, Odafe Owe has 2 people designated to block him on this play, and he just defeats it with the spin move. And I have to give Jason credit. Jason was right. Odafe Owe's move is the spin move, and it is violent. It's a very violent spin move. So He comes out here and he forces Burrow out of the pocket, and to some, pressures don't mean anything, but you can't tell me on this play that Odafe getting a pressure does not have an effect. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Coming on very strong. We've been on the OA hype train since we started this podcast, and good to see some of our predictions proving themselves to be accurate, and more importantly, um, OA developing into a cornerstone player for this defense. Now we're
yeah,
going to Marcus.
and when he was coming out, he was the 12th ranked edge rusher of all time in terms of athletic testing. So I don't know how you can give up on that.
No.
At least for the first 3 years. I get, year 4, year 5, fifth year option talk, but you can't give up on that in 3 years because most of those guys do take 3 years to really pop. Because Rashawn Gary's another one who is a high athletic tester and then comes out here and plays like an animal.
And now he's really found himself. Indeed. So Marcus Williams, one of the highest paid players on the team, struggled to stay healthy first 2 years. Looking pretty good.
Yeah, he's just out there making plays and just gets a nice little pass breakup. Which shoulder is it? Is it the right or the left? I don't know.
I think it's the left.
Okay. Well, he's out there. He's making plays. Yeah, you didn't sign him to be your best tackler anyway, and he wasn't like this amazing elite wrap-up tackler in the first place before coming here. But like I said, he's looked fine. He's looked great. I think he's back, and it's good to have him back. And I think the Ravens certainly got fortunate with him not having to have that season-ending surgery, because it allows the defense to be a lot more multiple, and it allows them to really put a lid on a lot of these passing teams.
For sure, that's perfectly stated. It allows them to be more multiple. Not a lot of players with this skill set, so good to see that for sure. And I guess we're going to move on now to a special teams highlight. Does this? I'm assuming. Would I be correct that number 88 is involved in this play?
Yeah, he is. He's always involved. That's
in the mix.
Yeah, so you see him just fall down there, and then he just gets back up, and he keeps going. And I'll tell you what, as long as he is healthy in terms of not being sick, that play right there may have just earned him like 5 snaps the next game as a tight end, like as a true tight end. Because Harbaugh does reward special teams, he rewards effort, and that's a lot of special teams and effort in one play. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, let's see what he can do. I'm excited to see it. This is his time to shine now. So take a look at this depth chart heading into this Chargers game, which I think we both thought would be maybe a little bit of a tougher matchup heading into the season. But now when you see Mike Williams on IR, J.C. Jackson no longer with the team, Josh Palmer on IR, they've lost some of their talent.
Yeah, the IR Chargers. Unfortunately, I thought this was going to be a fun game. I thought my prediction was this was going to be the battle of the MVP race. Turns out the Chargers are never going to be good. They're always just going to have the season get blown up, and this will be the last time I ever put an ounce of thought into them being the. And it's funny because Kansas City's not even like that crazy this year, and it could have been their year, but they have the same problems every year. They can't defend the run. They have no interior guys that can rush the passer, and then. But anyway,
incomplete team. It's an incomplete team.
Yeah, looking at their offense, obviously you have Herbert out there. He's playing pretty well. Their offensive line, at least the left side, is pretty good. I like Sawyer coming out. I think he's proven himself to be a pretty good, solid guard. But they have Keenan Allen, who has been playing well this year, but also isn't the fastest guy. So I don't think you really have to worry about anything vertically this game. Like they don't have a explosive over the top guy. They don't have an explosive player. Their explosive player was supposed to be Johnson. He's not really playing that well. Eckler is like he looked like a fullback out there that last game. So
Yeah, that running back shelf life is starting to show on Eckler. I will say Guyton can get loose deep. Maybe not this year, but in previous seasons, he's been kind of a go ball guy that can do some damage. The other big one here is Corey Linsley, their big ticket free agent center, is out, and Will Clapp, the picture response to many OnlyFans requests is starting center. Had a tough game last week. Herbert got in his face because he didn't get the ball off in time. Took a delayed game. But I have a couple more thoughts, but we'll continue after we get through this defensive side.
yeah, so no Bosa. Bosa out on IR, and that basically just blows up that defense. Their main selling point was they have two elite edge rushers. They're two really, really good edge rushers that can really wreck your game. But now it's just down to Mac, and I do like Tooley. I do like him. I do think he's played pretty well from what I've seen on all the pressure charts and all that stuff, and I've seen a couple highlights. So I don't think he's going to be what Bosa is, but it just that defensive line is just food. It is just food. Yeah. The Ravens are. I mean, the Ravens, if they really wanted to, they could like run for 300 yards this game and throw like 5 times, and they. The defense is just so. It's just so blah. It's just Derwin's kind of regressing a little bit, and all those injuries may be catching up, and then Asante Samuel, he's all right, and it's just not. It's just there's no one here that moves you. You know what I mean? They don't have an alpha anymore, and now it's just a bunch of like maybe like 3 B plus tier guys, and then everyone else is just who knows.
Well, yeah, and I think the D-line is a weakness, and the other big weakness is their cornerbacks beyond Samuel. Davis and Jasir Taylor are both having tough seasons. They are really just vulnerable to the pass. I guess we'll start there with some notes. They're dead last in pass defense this season. Asante Samuel is above average player, but the other guys are just getting toasted. The safeties, the corners, everybody, and the Chargers' metrics against the run this year are better than they have been in previous years. It's because nobody's running against them. Because why run against them when you can get 7 yards average every time you pass it?
Yeah.
Mac is having a good year. He really is one of his better years. He still can wreck a game. I think you definitely need to give him some chip help there. At the end of the day, though, if you only have one guy that you really have to game plan against on the opponent's front, the Ravens should be able to scheme around Khalil Mack. So, yeah, there's a couple thoughts I had. I got a couple more how to attack them. But their defense is their vulnerability, their weakness. And it's crazy because their head coach was hired as a defensive whiz kid, former coordinator of the Rams when they won the Super Bowl, right? And he's just not putting his players in position to succeed.
Yeah, he's just running a lot of soft quarters, and I despise that defense. He just lets teams tear him up. He just plays a very soft style defense, and I mean, the Ravens, to your point, the Ravens really should be able to throw the football this game, and Lamar will have like a 20 pass attempt, 300-yard type game. One of those crazy stat lines could happen. We'll see.
I think they said 4 quarterbacks had their season high passing yards against the Chargers this year, and 3 other ones had their second best. So, yeah, man, it's a vulnerable pass defense.
Yeah, so the Ravens really should have their way, and I guess to get into, do you have any last thoughts before we get into this?
Yeah. So how do you? So I think you kind of want to use Mitchell, Bateman, and Flowers, and really try to get some chunk plays against that pass defense. Kenneth Murray's a guy. If you can get him isolated in coverage, you should eat. And Lamar really had his breakout game all the way back in 2018 when he hit Mark Andrews in. Was it San Diego still then, or had they already moved to LA? Either way,
San Diego.
Lamar
the
is
soccer field.
13-4 on primetime in his career. So that's a pretty good mark.
Yeah, definitely. Should definitely get some deep shots going in this game because that I don't think someone can run with Zay Flowers one-on-one with them. Asante Samuel is
Nobody.
like a good player, but he's a zone corner more than anything. So
Yeah. So flipping over the other side of the ball, what are you looking for? Ravens defense, Chargers offense.
It's tough because if this was Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnson, it'd be a different conversation. But now, with how unfortunately bad Quentin Johnson is playing so far, you just kind of maybe rotate coverage to Keenan Allen a little bit, and make somebody else beat you. Just make somebody else beat you. You don't need to load the box. You don't need Austin Eckler is good for 2 yards of carry. You don't need to load the box. I would play dime the whole game and just say if you're gonna beat us running the football, go ahead. But we're gonna sit back here with our split safety and let Kyle Hamilton go make plays in the slot. And yeah, it's just that's how they win games. They've been throw the football and just go out there and play the best pass defense you can.
Yeah. So their offensive line individually doesn't have a lot of good players. Pipkins in particular is a weakness at right tackle. Even Zion Johnson, former first-round guard, he struggled in pass protection. However, they've only given up the 7th fewest sacks. So they're getting the ball out, and Herbert's avoiding pressure. He used his legs a lot last week, actually. I think you do want to kind of overload that right side, give him some deceptive coverages, drop a couple guys out and take away those underneath zones. Herbert is playing really well. You think he's the best quarterback they face this season? I think he might be.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
I mean, the only other one was Watson in that second half, but it's a challenge when you play a top quarterback, no matter what the rest of the team looks like. And Keenan Allen having another good year. He seems kind of ageless. His game has translated as far as being a technician. Another interesting matchup. Chargers actually have the second best red zone offense in the league. Ravens have the third best red zone defense. So I think, how those high leverage downs shake out. Big question, though, for me, who covers Keenan Allen? What do you think the best matchup is? Is Kyle Hamilton the guy? Because if Marlowe's healthy, I could maybe see I kind of like that matchup.
I would say Brandon Stevens. I'm gonna go with the former 4-star running back. He's got that quick twitch, change of direction, the kind of match the routes a little bit. I think Marlon, with the ankle injury and all that stuff, maybe you just want to keep him on someone like Johnson. So I think that would be the best matchup for Keenan.
So I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. Stop Keenan Allen from taking over the game. Don't let Khalil Mack get a strip sack, and pretty straightforward game plan, I think. So yeah. Ravens have the 4th hardest schedule remaining. Definitely some tough games after the bye. Going on the road to face a team with playoff level talent is not easy. Excuse me. Just have to keep stacking W's. Ravens are favored by 3.5 on the road. The total is 48, and 90% of all wagers so far have been placed favor of our own Baltimore.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Yuck. That's a lot.
So public favorite on the road in primetime. But ready for score prediction?
Yeah. That I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Anyway. I'm just gonna go against it. I'm gonna say that the Ravens win 33-17. I really want to predict a higher score difference, but they are traveling cross country. It is on the road. It is prime time. I don't think they'd schedule a blowout on. Well, they have scheduled a lot of blowouts on prime time, but I don't think this one's gonna be a blowout. I think Herbert just a little too good for them to just get bulldozed. But we've seen in the past the Ravens just run all over the Chargers, and there's just nothing the Chargers can do about it.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a pretty tight game in the first half. I think the Chargers and Herbert are going to be able to expose some weaknesses in the defense that maybe other quarterbacks haven't been able to find so far this season. I think that potentially the Ravens might come out a little flat off of their long layoff, but that will give them a little bit extra boost in the fourth quarter when where that extra rest kind of helps them out. So I think the Ravens are going to pull away late. Score prediction, I'll say Ravens 34, Chargers 27.
That would be a fun one. That's what I thought it would be coming into the season, to be one of those type of games. But I don't know. Just the Chargers, their defense is so bad. It's just to your point of the 32nd ranked pass defense. It's just they don't have the guys. They don't have the guys. Or
they don't have the guys. But the Ravens can't shoot themselves in the foot either. They gotta. It's not going to be given to them. They got to go out and make those plays. So feel optimistic, but not like this game. I don't think this game's a gimme. I don't think it's a gimme at all. So we'll see. Should be. Hopefully, it'll be a fun one, back and forth. Give us a little entertainment to cap off this long Thanksgiving Day weekend. Props for this game.
Zay Flowers, anytime touchdown, like I alluded to earlier. I'm feeling that one. One touchdown. It's one of those lulls of like that has to happen. It's like he only has one touchdown this season. It has to happen in the game where he's facing another receiver that was drafted a couple picks ahead of him. He has to score a touchdown. It's just fate. I like Rashad Bateman to go over 40 yards receiving. And then I like now this is a crazy one. This is a crazy one. I'm gonna get crazy. Gus Edwards to score 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. Just in case the Ravens want to just pound the football and not throw, and play some John Harbaugh football. I'm feeling Gus Edwards 3. I don't know what the odds are. They're probably like plus like 1,800 or something. 18,000. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling the Gus 3 bomb, the Gus hat trick.
The Gus triple, huh? I like Bateman over receiving yards. I like Keaton Mitchell over receiving yards. The one I saw was only 8 receiving yards. I don't know if that's moved, but that seems very low to me. He did that last week on one play.
Yeah.
I think it was 8 last week, and he got a 9-yard catch. I'm also going to keep riding these outside linebackers to go over their quarter sack. If they record at least a half sack, it's a winner. Jadeveon Clowney to record at least a half sack is plus 130. Odafe to record at least a half sack is plus 120. Those keep winning pretty much almost every week. So those are the props I like on this game. Don't necessarily have a touchdown predictor. If Beckham suits up, I could see him, but you got to wait for the injury report on that one.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean that does it for me for props. I think that's all I can think of. So
very good. How about a little look around the league before we get out of here today?
Well, I already got my upset of the week. I have to give myself a pat on the back. That was good plus money too. That was plus.
That was a good
280.
That was a big call. I don't see very many people. Nobody had that. Everybody was on the Lions. So yeah, great call.
I'm always against the Lions. I always pick against them unless it's like a fake team. But I just felt like the Packers have good talent. It wasn't slowly clicking. It was just like kind of like you could see a couple things out of place. But yeah, I mean the Lions were 37-44 on Thanksgiving coming into the game, and they haven't won a Thanksgiving game since 2016. So keep it up. Keep it on up.
Who's the third best team in the NFC right now?
Cowboys.
Agree.
Eagles, 49ers, Cowboys.
I agree. Yeah. A couple other games. It's a lot of kind of weird cross-divisional matchups with like short spreads. I do like the Saints over the Falcons. I do like the Chargers over the Rams over the Cardinals. Those are probably 2 good plays, but those are both favorites. I like the Steelers to take down the Bengals without Burrow. This is the one tough game, and also like the Bucks to go into Indy and beat Indy in Indy. But this one, I went back and forth as far as my upset of the week. Houston Texans are a public dog at about 80 to 90%, 70, 80%. So they're a heavy public dog, home dog. But I will take them plus 1.5, hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars for basically the battle for that division. I like what Houston's doing. They have two good pass rushers. They have two pretty good corners. They have two good receivers, and they have a good quarterback, and they have a pretty good offensive line. So, you want to talk about how to build a team. Good offensive line and good pass defense and good pass catchers win a lot of games that way. So I will go with the Texans to maybe take that division right out from the Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, the Jaguars really haven't impressed that much this year either. They've had that win in London against the Bills, but the Bills kind of aren't really that great this year. So I like that. I think it is unfortunate that we were robbed of an Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud battle because Anthony Richardson had he had like 7 touchdowns in those first couple of games from between rushing and passing. So that'd have been fun. I kind of want the Jaguars like get out of the way, go back to being the Jaguars. I want to see Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud face off for that division every year. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it's an interesting division. A lot of young talented quarterbacks. So maybe a couple years from now, the AFC South will be one of the tougher divisions. Who could say? We'll see because they've been down for a long time.
Yeah. So.
And Levis too. Even Levis is doing all right. So yeah, they got 4 potentially good young quarterbacks.
Yeah. But I think that about does it here, Voss. Appreciate everybody for joining. And we will see you guys next time.